Hey again. I tried to assign Pokemon types to real animals. I came up with this incredibly clunky video topic to covertly teach you about cool animal abilities. So to start, let's establish the rules I set myself while making this video. Types in Pokemon usually represent elements in the traditional Avatar the Last Airbender sense. So if an animal does not have a part of its anatomy behave in an elemental way, it cannot be counted. That's lucky for you guys because now I can't cop out and make the water type a fish just because it can swim. That being said, I did have some trouble with the more esoteric Pokemon typings like Dragon and Fairy, and plain typings like Poison and Flying. They're obviously going to feel a bit like a cop-out. Fair warning before I get comments, I've completely ignored Normal and Bug, because Normal and Bug, even in Pokemon, are literally just regular-ass animals, and I found it difficult to draw an elemental comparison to bugginess or normalness. Let's start with everyone's least favorite starter type, Grass. Grass types are associated directly with plants and fungi. Look to Venusaur or Among Us for Pokemon emblematic of this type. Elysia chloricata is a species of green sea slug that utilizes chloroplasts stolen from algae in its digestive system. The cells in its digestive system incorporate chloroplasts within themselves as organelles through a process called phagocytosis. This is where a cell surrounds large particles from outside its environment. The slug's cells then keep the chloroplasts alive for months, and this allows it to juice energy from it like a tweaker at a library plugin. This allows the slugs to glean energy from the sun like a plant in the background while being an active mobile animal. Now to everyone's favorite starter type, Fire. Fire types are associated with the sun, fire, lava, heat, and explosions. Volcarona, Typhlosion, Slugma, Heatran, and Turtonator are good examples of this type's themes. The Bombardier Beetle uses a chemical defense system that involves mixing hydroquinone and hydrogen peroxide. This creates an exothermic reaction that is started out violently at a rate of 500 pulses per second. The boiling mixture can reach 100 degrees Celsius. This defense mechanism is often lethal to insects that wish to attack the beetle. The water type is associated with aquatic creatures, space for some reason, storms, the sea, and other bodies of water. Magikarp, Palkia, and Kyogre are emblematic of these characteristics. The Archerfish, put down your pitchforks. This fish is special. This Archerfish can shoot jets of water at land-based prey with their specialized mouths. Since their prey consists of small insects, these fish have become incredibly accurate snipers. They take into account distance of the target, and even refraction caused by the water's surface when hunting. Adults almost always hit their target on their first shot. Flying types are associated with wind, clouds and flying, and gliding and hovering creatures. Tornadus, Altaria, Pidgey, Emolga, and Fan Rotom are good examples of these themes. The Rupel's vulture is the highest flying bird, reaching altitudes of 37,000 feet. We know these birds can fly this high because of bird strikes on planes. It can fly this high because of its unique blood that contains a specialized hemoglobin protein. This protein allows it to absorb oxygen efficiently despite the low pressure in the upper troposphere. Rock types are associated with stones, crystals, fossils, and hardness. Geodude, Gigalith, Tyrantrum, and Sudowoodo are good examples of this typing's themes. The caddisfly as an adult doesn't really scream rock type, but certain species larvae do. The glossosomatids are a family of caddisflies whose larvae create cases for themselves out of pebbles to weigh them down in fast-moving streams and to protect themselves. They use silk to create a tube of stones and then wear it for the duration of their larval stage. Electric types are associated with electric energy, magnetism, and speed. Heliolisk, Magneton, and Zeraora are Pokemon that are emblematic of this type. The electric eel, just kidding, that would be way too easy. Everyone knows about the electric eel. The northern stargazer is one of two stargazer species that can produce electricity from its electric organ, which originates from modified eye muscles. They don't electrolocate like other electric fishes, they only use it in defense and hunting. They're kind of plain, but I didn't really want to use the electric eel in the slot, so we're going with that. Dark types are associated with villainy, darkness, death, and the night. Malamar, Sableye, Yveltal, and Umbreon are good examples of these themes. For this one, I'd like to mention two because I very much like both. The black heron has a curious hunting method called canopy feeding, where it creates a shaded area around its head with its wings. Fish flock to this, thinking it's cover, but are eaten by the bird instead. So you have a degree of trickery and also, creating a shadow. The spiny dreamer is an ultra-black species of anglerfish. Ultra-black refers to its pigmentation, which is so black it can absorb 99.95% of light. This is so it can hide from bioluminescent prey and its own bioluminescent lure so that it doesn't, reveal itself. Poison types are associated with poisonous animals, plants and fungi, venomous animals, and harmful waste. Marini, Vileplume, Fungus, Arbok, and Trubbish are emblematic of these characteristics. Many very common animals could fit here, and I kind of want to lump this and flying type into the ignored pile with Normal and Bug just because it's not that impressive of an ability IRL, but I have found something you guys might find interesting. The spitting spider has a gluey venom that it can spit on prey to trap and poison them. The venom has this effect because the spider's venom and silk are produced in the same space in the spider's chelicerae, so it mixes that up and then just shoots it out. The ground type is associated with soil, sand, mud, and digging. Look to Claydol, Palossand, Mudsdale, and Excadrill for Pokemon that are emblematic of this type. Antlion larvae hunt by creating pits in the sand. When prey, usually ants, walk by, they slide in because the sand walls collapse underneath them. If the ant has any success climbing out, the antlion will pelt the ant with sand to get it to fall down further. They also cocoon themselves in sand when they pupate. Trapinch is actually based off this insect. Steel types are directly associated with metals, weapons, and hardness. Meltan, Aegislash, and Fortress are good examples of these themes. The scalyfoot snail lives near hydrothermal vents and has hardened protrusions on its side made of iron. The purpose of these protrusions, called sclerites, has been speculated to be protection or detoxification. Because raw chemicals coming out of the vents are eaten by chemosynthetic bacteria that live in symbiosis with the snail, and the snail eats these bacteria, it gets those materials within itself, and it has to get rid of them some way, so they grow the protrusions to defend and detoxify it. Kind of a win-win situation. Ice types are associated with cold temperatures, ice and snow. Snow-runt, Avalugg, and Abomasnow are good examples of this type's characteristics. The goldenrod gallfly is the world's most cold-tolerant animal. It can survive ice crystals forming within its body, and thus has a pretty far northern extent for an insect. It can survive these conditions because of large amounts of glycerol in its tissues. Glycerol is present in antifreeze. As ice forms within the body of the fly, glycerol flows through the body to switch places with water to prevent more freezing, which protects the fly's tissues. The fly is so cold tolerant that mild winters actually prove detrimental to fly populations because the cold allows them to stay dormant and thus conserve energy. Fighting types are associated with combat prowess, strength, and aggression. Sock, Conkeldurr, and Annihilape are good examples of this type's theming. The peacock mantis shrimp has the fastest punch in the animal kingdom. It swings its club-like forelimbs at the speed of 330,000 feet per second. This hits with the force of 1,000 newtons. The speed of the strikes create cavitation bubbles, which release large amounts of heat when they pop, temporarily raising temperatures near the surface of the sun, and utterly destroying the armor of their prey. The remaining types I had a difficult time finding real examples for because these typings are more outwardly magical or fantastical, so if a matchup seemed like a stretch, it's because they are. Psychic types are associated with strong psionic abilities, high intelligence, and once again associated with space sometimes. Esper, Slowking, and Behem are great examples of this type's themes. The gray parrot is the smartest species of parrot. They have been shown to perform at a cognitive level of a 4 to 6-year-old human child. A notable individual named Alex the parrot showed his ability to learn more than 100 words, differentiating between objects, colors, material, and shapes. If a bird being as smart as a 6-year-old doesn't really scream intelligent enough for you, the parrots also have an ability to detect UV light, which is an extra sense they have that you don't. Ghost types are associated with spirits, the possessed, and the undead. Ghastly, Poltergeist, and Houndstone are good examples of this type's theming. Chinook salmon, at the end of their life cycle, do this thing called a salmon run, and this does horrible things to their body. They metamorphose into these horrific-looking fish and then swim up water streams to breed. During this trip, the salmon can deteriorate heavily and still continue on. This phenomenon has been called zombie salmon in the news recently. This happens because salmon have programmed senescence, which means around spawning time their immune system takes a shit and they start falling apart. The salmon can survive through this for quite a while, which might be why they look zombified while still alive. Fairy types are associated with tiny things, smells, tastes, pranks, life, and benevolence. Look to Cutiefly, Aromatisse, Alchemy, Impidimp, Xerneas, and Gardevoir for good examples of this type's themes. The brown marmorated stink bug is a foul-smelling Asian insect. It has this buggy funk due to a defense mechanism meant to deter predators. Because it is invasive and has spread across several regions of the United States and Europe, that means you've probably been annoyed with these bugs, because literally everything sets off their defense mechanism. And if they get in your house, you can't kill them because they can even stink up the room post-mortem. I think this is a good example of both prankster behavior and smell. Dragon types are associated with draconic features and cosmic powers, like time, space, and antimatter. Dragonite and the Creation Trio are good examples of this type's characteristics. The Immortal Jellyfish kind of checks the more esoteric boxes of Dragon-type themes. It can turn back time, quote-unquote, by reverting back to a polyp when threatened, and can thus reverse time on its biological clock. The jellyfish does this by reabsorbing its tentacles and then changing the cells in the bell, or the main body of the jellyfish, into stem cells. Thank you everyone for watching. I really do appreciate the response to my first video. 100 views for my first video is more than I was expecting. So thank you for watching that. I don't really know what else to say. I don't do good with this kind of stuff. I have a couple more videos planned. I think one on convergent evolution in trees, one on an alternate history thing. I think it was about a meme where a Turkish guy created a steam engine just to spin like kebab meat. That one is another one I thought you guys might like. But after that, I don't really have any other ideas. So if you have a less covered science topic you'd like to see in a video, let me know in the comments, and maybe it might show up. Who knows?